Hello everyone, welcome in. In this video, we will be discussing the three biggest misconceptions or things that I see people get wrong in regards to the Alexee Trevizo case. And I hope that in bringing these things to light and offering some clarification, others will be more prepared when the evidence comes from the judge. And the closer we get to trial, we can understand the strategy in the state hopefully prevailing with a guilty verdict. Now, the three most common things that I see people get wrong about the case are number one, Rosa's statement about the girls on the news who harmed their baby. Number two, when Rosa asked or said to Alexee, "We just asked you to tell us the truth," in regards to her pregnancy. And last and most importantly, legally, the idea that the state needs to prove that Alexee knew she was pregnant the whole time, which is not the case. So first, we can begin with the statement Rosa made about the girls on the news who hurt their babies and go to jail. First, let's reference this statement really quick via the body cam footage.
Do you guys have, I'm the charge nurse here. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Like, how big is the baby?
It's full term.
What? 9 months?
Nothing was crying.
Lexi, have you watched the news of the girls that what they do to their babies and what they go to jail?
Nothing was crying.
Okay, so as you can see there, once Rosa is informed the baby is full term, she turns to Alexee and says, "Haven't you seen the girls on the news and what they do to their babies and they go to jail?" To be very clear about this statement, it does not indicate that Rosa knew Alexee was pregnant. I have a few things listed here. Number one, Rosa does not indicate that she told Alexee or spoke with Alexee about these other cases similar to the one Alexee was in right then. Number two, this is an excited utterance by Rosa in regards to the situation. This does not prove Rosa knew and had been warning Alexee about these cases. Number three, this does not prove Rosa knew anything about Alexee's pregnancy. Number four, all this statement proves is that Rosa understands the levity of the situation based on news stories that she had seen, likely about the Alexis Avila case, because that is a local New Mexico case very similar to Alexee's. So with that being said, it's very important to clarify the context and meaning behind this, as I see it discussed quite often, and I also see it conflated with Rosa's other statements. And people seem to think that when Rosa asked Alexee about telling the truth if she was pregnant at some point, that Rosa mentions these crimes committed by other mothers who end up on the news, when in reality the statements are separate. One is past tense, referring to an actual conversation between Rosa and Alexee at the hospital, where Alexee denies that she could be pregnant, and we'll get into that on the next slide. Whereas this specific conversation refers to a hypothetical, with Rosa assuming that since she has seen the news of these mothers committing horrific acts, that Alexee must have also seen the news, and Rosa in turn assumes that that should have persuaded Alexee from the actions that she just took, allegedly, which is in turn a very important statement in the context of the situation, since it shows that Rosa definitely understands the levity of what happened in that bathroom and has seen the consequences that the women who do what Alexee is being accused of end up with. So now we can move on to Rosa's other statement, which is also very good for our case. So this is the second point that I see people misinterpret a lot, and I do not blame them for it, because the answer to this question is hidden deep in the witness interviews of the RN who treated Alexee after she came out of the bathroom. And this is a statement made by Rosa that makes everyone think that she questioned Alexee's pregnancy along the way.
We discovered a dead baby in the bathroom.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sorry. It came out of me and I didn't know what to do.
Lexi, I told you about this.
But it
I just asked you, baby, to tell me the truth.
was not crying or nothing.
As you see, Rosa's exact quote is, "Lexi, I told you about this. I just asked you, baby, to tell me the truth." People seem to think that this could mean at any time over the course of Lexi's pregnancy, Rosa asked Alexee if she could be pregnant, but that is likely not what Rosa meant when she said this. And what I believe she actually is referring to is a lot better for the case. Now, because of the positive pregnancy test and the odd HCG qualitative results, and the bloody bathroom, the doctor was under the impression that Alexee was having a miscarriage. When that information was relayed to Alexee in front of Rosa and the RN, eventually a conversation happens in which Alexee denies that she could be pregnant and states that she is still a virgin. all after having given birth. Mind you, the child had not yet been found at this point, so Alexee still must have believed in her mind that she could have some form of deniability in all of this. You will notice Alexee's tune changes from this conversation referenced by the RN to when the police officer enters her room and the doctor says a dead baby was found. She's no longer denying that she could be pregnant. She now says that she did not know what to do and that the baby was not crying. And like I said, this is good for the case because it shows Alexee was aware of what she did and tried to hide it until the last possible second. She finally had to give in. But even after having given birth, according to this RN, Alexee still denied that she was pregnant. So here's the statement from the RN that I'm referencing.
She essentially was scared. She was worried that she was going to get in trouble. She did have the back and forth with her mother that was just about like, they had said, oh, the mom was upset because she had had sex and hadn't told her. So they were going back and forth on that. And then she was just denying it, which was a little out of the, wasn't really deniable at that point in time.
Right.
So the patient was denying having sex at this point to her mom.
Yeah, she was trying to state that she was still a virgin.
After she came in from the bathroom and all the blood and all that. Okay.
So again, that statement is pretty telling as far as Alexee trying to, in my opinion, get away with this up until the last moment. But also, it completely explains Rosa's statement and what she's referencing when she says, Alexee, I just told you about this. I just asked you to tell me the truth. It must have been once Alexee came out of the bathroom and had this back and forth, still denying her pregnancy and proclaiming her virginity after having given birth and being confronted by not her birth, but the positive pregnancy test and the odd HCG qualitative levels. Until the baby was found and the jig was up, so to speak, she still wouldn't push forward with the truth. She wouldn't come out with it. She did nothing to mitigate the situation, right? The circumstances. So that's why I think it's very interesting and important that we know exactly when and how this conversation took place, how many times Alexee denied she could be pregnant, the fact that she denied she could be pregnant after giving birth, which is a huge deal. And this is exactly what I think Rosa is referring to when she said, I just asked you about this. I asked you to tell me the truth. I don't believe that she was questioned about this throughout her whole pregnancy. So from there, we can move on to the third and most important, legally speaking, which is they confuse premeditation with intent. Now, premeditation does not have to be the whole 9 months that Alexee knew she was pregnant in regards to premeditation. Premeditation can be a split second in which you grab a weapon and decide to kill someone with no viable defense for those actions, as opposed to an accident or fighting for your life when using a weapon to kill someone else. Either of those actions involve premeditation, but premeditation is not the issue at hand in the first-degree murder charge that Alexee is facing. It is the issue of intent. This brings up the fact that Alexee has taken a polygraph. I would bet you anything a question on that polygraph exam, and they only are allowed a few questions. But the most important one is if Alexee thought baby Alex was alive when she put him in the bag. Why is that? Because the act of putting the baby in the bag is enough to prove she intended to murder baby Alex, but only if she thought baby Alex was alive. So let's read through what intent is defined as under New Mexico law as it applies to the murder charges that Alexee's facing, and then we can break it down legally. Intent is defined as arrived at or determined upon as a result of careful thought and the weighing of the considerations for and against the proposed course of action. Intent is subjective and is almost always inferred from other facts in the case, as it is rarely established by direct evidence. So let's look at it this way. Careful thought plus weighing of actions plus inferred from other facts. So what do we have that shows Alexee had careful thought in consideration to her intent and her actions? Well, she ran to the bathroom. She locked the door. She didn't answer the door. She put the baby in a capsule-like bag. She put a new trash bag on top of it. The placenta is missing, and she destroyed and cleaned evidence / the crime scene. Now, what do we have for weighing of the actions? Well, she ignored her mother and the nurses asking if she needed help, and she did not pull the help cord. Lastly, what can we infer from other facts? First, I have phentermine, but we are going to discuss that in the next slide, so keep that in the back of your head. So phentermine, we can infer that she ran to the bathroom, locked the door, ignored everyone's offers of help, hid the baby, got rid of the placenta, cleaned the blood, would not have opened the bathroom door until it was almost opened by someone else with a key. She immediately offered a reason for the blood. She does not mention the birth of a fully formed baby to anyone. She denies the possibility of pregnancy after giving birth, which you just saw from the RN's interview. So, all of these added together, I believe there's a lot of intent that can be inferred from her actions, and she also meets the other thresholds of intent: the careful thought, and the fact that a cord was in that room and was never pulled directly gives us one weighing of the actions. And then we can also say, like I said, everyone asking her for help and her not opening the door is another weighing of the action for or against the proposed course, right? Meaning she could have and should have, in my opinion, opened the door, asked for help, gotten medical attention for the baby as soon as the baby came out. But she was offered multiple opportunities, not only through people offering their help outside of the door, but inside. She could have pulled the cord, and she did none of that. Now, we can assume that the defense is going to try their best to bring doubt about baby Alex's status of dead or alive at the time of birth, not only by creating holes in the autopsy, but by using expert testimony to try and disprove that baby Alex took a breath. One of the other ways they can bring doubt about baby Alex's status at the time of his birth was whether or not he appeared alive to Alexee. This comes down to what the jury will believe is more likely. If they believe that the autopsy holds up and baby Alex was alive, next they must believe Alexee saw baby Alex alive, be it eyes opening, a finger moving, the baby moving their arms or legs, taking a breath. And if the jury believes in their heart that the baby appeared stillborn and Alexee thought she was throwing away a dead child, then they cannot convict her of murder, rather only tampering with evidence. That is why the language in the intent definition under New Mexico law is very important when it says we can infer from other facts in the case as to what Alexee was intending to do. Now this brings us to our next issue for those who do believe the state can maybe try to prove premeditation. The best piece of evidence that the state has proving possible premeditation on Alexee's part is the extremely high levels of phentermine in baby Alex's system. Although that does not prove that she knew she was pregnant, it opens the door for the state to get inside the jury's head about Alexee's intent all along. Why? The phentermine proves Alexee knew she was gaining weight. Now what does that cause? It causes the jury to question things such as, why not think she could be pregnant? Why not even suspect she could be pregnant? Was she in outright denial, or was her denial malicious? Does what Alexee allegedly did to baby Alex lead you to believe she planned this one way or another all along? Now, if you had just one or the other, the denial or the homicide, this case would be very different. Meaning, if a mother-to-be who wanted her baby suddenly killed it after birth, maybe a mental issue really happened. Similarly, if Alexee truly never knew she was pregnant, gave birth in the bathroom, but then alerted others to the birth of her baby, there would be no case. Even if the baby was stillborn due to Alexee's actions while pregnant, there still really wouldn't be any case there. Having the high levels of phentermine in Alexee's system in combination with Alexee's actions the night of baby Alex's birth and death, I find it very likely the jury will believe Alexee is guilty. But for those worried about the evidence in this case or the statements made, I hope that this brings you a better understanding and some comfort knowing that there is not a lot of options for the defense in this trial. They have to use different explanations for different pieces of Alexee's actions, and those explanations will no doubt contradict each other, as well as possibly make the jury feel like they are being sold a story rather than being told the truth about what happened. And if the jury feels like the defense is denying the truth and concealing things, that only matches up with Alexee's actions as alleged by the state and the facts in this case, another sure way to a guilty verdict. So I hope this helps clarify the three things that I see most commonly misunderstood or misquoted. And I hope that you do not worry when it comes to the state being able to prove that Alexee knew she was pregnant, because that's actually not the case at all. The moment Alexee gave birth to a baby, dead or alive, she was legally required to inform others. The only question left that the jury will have to decide on is, was baby Alex alive when Alexee put him in the bag? And was Alexee aware that he was alive? Thank you so much if you've made it this far in this video. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, please leave them down below, as I do truly enjoy the conversation, and I will try to get back to you as soon as possible. If you are interested in following this case all the way to trial, please subscribe, as I will be covering it all along the way with a legal focus. I'll see you in the next video. It's your girl Friday. Okay, bye.